interested in finding out why so many of us operate at only a fraction of what we're actually capable of? What if I told you there may be another 60% available to you? And I'm not talking about working 60% more hours. I'm not talking about making 60% more calls, adding 60% more responsibilities to your calendar, or working yourself into the ground. I'm talking about accessing more of the focus, the confidence, talent, presence, and potential that already exists inside of you. So here's the question. What's standing in your way? What's standing in your way from accessing it? Is it fear, distraction, past failures, future anxiety, trying to be everything to everybody? Or have you simply become comfortable operating at the level you're currently at? At the 2026 Success Summit that Tom Ferry had, we had a powerful conversation about the psychology behind high performance, why we often stop short of what we're truly capable of, and what top performers do differently. And that's what we're breaking down today. Welcome back to Real Talk on the Red Chair. I'm Jessica Rojas, and this is part 2 of my Success Summit implementation series, where we're not just talking about what we learned at Summit, we're talking about how we actually implement it. Because information alone doesn't change your business, implementation does. And today's conversation starts with one powerful question. Are you actually operating at your full potential, or have you unknowingly created a ceiling for yourself? One of the conversations at Summit centered around identity. Who are you? But maybe the more important question is, who are you when the pressure is on? Who shows up when the listing appointment doesn't go the way that you expected? Who shows up when the market changes? Who shows up after you've been told no 5 times? Who shows up when you're tired? Who shows up when you're overwhelmed? Who shows up when your business and your personal life are demanding your attention at the same time? Because it's easy to talk about who we are when everything is going well. Performance gets tested when things aren't. During Summit, Tom talked about Dr. Gio Valiente, and yes, I added a Spanish accent to it, a sports psychologist known for working with elite performers, including Tiger Woods. His work focused on that intersection between elite performance and pressure. And when Tom was talking about this, I immediately thought, how many of us in real estate consider ourselves high performers operating under pressure? Because think about our business. We're constantly performing. We're negotiating, guys. We're selling. We're presenting. We're solving problems. We're handling those objections. We're making decisions. We're managing people's emotions. We're leading teams. We're dealing with uncertainty. And sometimes we're doing all of that before lunch. So you don't have to be standing over a golf ball with millions of people watching to understand pressure. Walk into a listing appointment where you know you're competing against 3 other agents. That's pressure. Negotiate a transaction that's about to fall apart. That's pressure. Go 3 months without the production you expected and still have to show up confidently every morning. That's pressure. The question becomes, who are you when that pressure shows up? One of the concepts Tom discussed at Summit was the idea that many people are operating at roughly 40% of what's available to them. I don't want you thinking about 40% as some literal measurement of your brain or your ability. Think about it as performance concept, because the message isn't you're lazy, and it isn't you're not working hard enough. Some of you watching this are working too much. The issue may be that your attention is so fragmented that you're rarely bringing 100% of yourself to the thing that you're actually doing. Think about everything we're expected to do just today. We're salespeople, right? Lead converters, marketers, social media experts, content creators, negotiators, team leaders, managers. We show property, we write contracts, we solve transaction problems. We're trying to understand AI. We're answering emails, responding to text messages. We're trying to figure out what the algorithm wants from us this week, and then we go home. We're parents, partners, spouses, caregivers, providers, friends, sons, daughters. We're juggling multiple worlds of responsibility. So maybe you're not missing the other 60%. Maybe it's already being consumed. Where is your other 60% going? Because here's what else we carry. We carry the past, the listing appointment that we lost, the client who chose somebody else, the mistake we made, the transaction that fell apart, the business decision that we wish we could redo, the year that didn't go the way we planned. And while part of our brain is carrying yesterday, another part is worrying about tomorrow. Where's my next transaction coming from? What if I don't hit my goal this year? What if interest rates change? What if the market slows down? What if this deal doesn't close? What if I can't figure out AI? What if everybody else is getting ahead of me? So think about this. You're sitting in front of a seller, but part of your mind is thinking about yesterday. Another part is worrying about tomorrow. Your phone is buzzing. You've got 6 unanswered texts. You've got another appointment coming up. You're thinking about the social media post you haven't made yet, and you're wondering, what's happening with the inspection on the other transaction? How much of you is actually sitting in front of that seller? That's the point. Your capacity didn't necessarily disappear. Your attention became divided. Be where your feet are. And that's why one of the greatest performance advantages we can develop is something that sounds incredibly simple. Be where your feet are. When you're making these calls, make the calls. When you're sitting with a client, be with that client. Be in the moment. When you're creating the content, create. When you're leading your team, lead. And when you're home with your family, my God, be present with them. Be home with them. Because constantly switching between everything doesn't necessarily make us more productive. Sometimes it simply makes us less present everywhere. And that may be where some of your untapped capacity is hiding. Tom also discussed 5 pillars of top performers. And I want you to listen to these differently. I don't want you asking, do I have all 5? I want you asking, which one improved? What if one, just one, was improved? And would it unlock another level of performance for me? Think about this. Pillar number 1, natural talent. What are you naturally great at? Some of you are incredible people. You walk into a room and that's it, you connect. Some of you are phenomenal marketers. Some are natural negotiators. Some of you are incredible problem solvers. Some are natural leaders. And sometimes we become so obsessed with improving everything we're not good at that we stop maximizing what makes us exceptional. So ask yourself, what is my natural advantage? What do people consistently tell me I'm great at? What feels almost effortless to me, but difficult to somebody else? And then here's the bigger question. Am I spending enough of my workday doing that? Because maybe your next level isn't fixing every weakness. Maybe it's spending more time inside of your greatness, your strengths, and getting support around the rest. Pillar number 2, work ethic. Some of us built our entire careers on this one. We outworked everybody. We made the calls. We worked the nights. We worked the weekends. We went all in. We figured it out. And that work ethic, that fueled our growth. But eventually, there comes a point where simply working harder doesn't create the next breakthrough. You have to learn to work differently, because there's a difference between being busy and being productive. I say that all the time on my coaching calls. There's a difference between activity and effective activity. And there's a difference between doing more and doing more of what actually matters. Pillar number 3, differentiated perspective. This one is huge. What lens are you looking through? Look at today's real estate market. You can put 2 agents in the exact same market, same interest rates, same inventory, same economy, same consumers. One says this market is terrible. Nobody's buying, nobody's selling. And the other says this market is just filled with opportunity. People still have to move. My job is to find them. Same market, different perspective. And your perspective influences your behavior. If I believe there's no opportunity, how aggressively am I going to prospect? How confidently am I going to walk into that listing appointment? How consistently am I going to market? How often am I going to create content? And how quickly am I going to give up? Your perspective doesn't change the facts. It changes how you respond to the facts. And your response, that changes your results. Pillar number 4, an engineered process. This is where many incredibly talented entrepreneurs eventually hit a ceiling. You know how to produce results. But here's my question. Does your business know how you produce those results? Can somebody else replicate it? Do you have systems, processes, checklists, workflows, automation? Or does everything live inside your head? Because if your business only works because you remember everything, you don't have a system. You have dependence. An engineered process gives you something to lean into. You know what happens first. You know what happens next. Your team knows what happens. Your clients know what happens. And the process becomes repeatable. Repeatable creates consistency. Consistency creates scalability. And scalability gives you back capacity. Pillar number 5, team. No elite performer does everything alone. So look around your business. Who's on your team? Maybe it's a transaction coordinator, a marketing person, a virtual assistant, a lender, a title partner, an attorney, an operations person, or a coach. Maybe it's another agent whose strength complements your weakness. And I want you to hear this. Leverage is not weakness. You don't receive a trophy at the end of your career because you did everything yourself. If you're phenomenal at relationships, but terrible at systems, maybe you don't need another course on systems. Maybe you need someone who loves systems. Because the question isn't, how can I learn to do everything? The better question may be, who do I need around me so I can spend more time doing what only I can do? Don't turn this into 5 more projects, okay? Please don't finish this video and say, okay, Jessica, now I have 5 more things to do, 5 more things to work on. No, that's exactly what I don't want you to do, because that's how we get overwhelmed again. Pick one. Natural talent, work ethic, perspective, process, team, which one, if improved, would create the biggest ripple effect in your life or business? And then ask, what's the next best step I could take to unlock more from this one area? Not 10 steps, not an entire strategic plan, one best step. Here's an example. Maybe your answer is systems. Don't decide you're going to systematize your entire company this weekend. Find one system. Maybe there's someone in your company or organization who's phenomenal at something you struggle with, so then ask them. Ask them what they're doing. Study their process. Adapt to it. Adapt it in your business. Maybe it's lead follow-up. Maybe it's your listing process. Maybe it's client onboarding. Maybe it's content creation. Maybe it's transaction management. Build one. One system that removes cognitive load from your life. Because every decision you don't have to make yourself, every task you don't have to remember, every process that happens consistently without requiring you to reinvent it, guess what? It gives you some capacity back. Maybe it's natural talent. Maybe you're phenomenal with people. You can walk into a room and build relationships effortlessly, but you hate systems. Then maybe your next level isn't locking yourself in an office trying to become an operations expert. Maybe it's finding someone who is. So they can then operate inside their natural talent, and you can operate inside of yours. That's leverage. More doesn't always mean more. And this is where I want to make an important distinction. When I tell you there's more available to you, I don't necessarily mean more volume, more calls, more appointments, more hours, more responsibilities, more exhaustion. Sometimes accessing more of yourself actually requires doing less. Less of what doesn't matter, less of what somebody else should be doing, less worrying about yesterday, less anxiety about tomorrow, less comparison, less distraction, less perfectionism, less trying to be everything to everybody, so you can go deeper into what actually matters. Maybe your other 60% isn't buried underneath tasks you shouldn't be doing anymore. Maybe it's buried underneath fear. Maybe it's buried underneath comparison. It might be buried underneath perfectionism. Maybe it's buried underneath your inability to delegate. Maybe it's buried underneath your phone. Oh, Lord. Maybe it's buried underneath the belief that nobody can do it as well as you can. Or maybe you've simply gotten comfortable operating at 40%. Who is the next version of you? That's what brings us back to identity. I want you to think about everything you say you want. The production, the income, the business, the relationships, the lifestyle, the freedom, the impact. Whatever your goals are, now ask yourself, who is the version of me capable of accomplishing those goals? How does that person behave? How does that person start the morning? How does that person manage time? How does that person respond to rejection? How does that person walk into a listing appointment? How does that person show up when they're tired? How does that person handle pressure? What does that person delegate? What does that person stop tolerating? What does that person do consistently that you're currently only doing occasionally? Because maybe your next level isn't only about asking, what do I need to do? Maybe the more powerful question is, who do I need to become? So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. I want you to answer 3 questions. Question number 1, where am I currently operating below my capacity? And I don't want you saying everywhere. Get specific. Where do you know you have more? Question number 2, what's consuming the capacity? What's consuming the capacity that I know I have? Is it fear? Is it distraction? Past failure? Future anxiety? Low value activities? Lack of systems? Lack of support? Trying to do everything yourself? What is consuming your 60%? And question number 3, what is one action I will take this week to access more of what's already available to me? Not Monday, not next month, not January 1st. This week. Because remember what I said in part 1. Information doesn't change your business. Implementation does. I came home from the 2026 Success Summit with pages of notes. But I'm not interested in implementing 100 ideas. I'm interested in identifying a few ideas that can actually change how I operate, how I lead, how I coach, how I serve, and ultimately who I become. And I want the same for you. You don't necessarily need another 60% added to your plate. You may need to recover the 60% that already is being consumed. Get present. Protect your focus, lean into your strengths, build the process, find the people, challenge your perspective, and stop assuming that the level you're currently operating at represents the limit of what you're capable of. Because maybe the next version of your business doesn't require more hours from you. Maybe it requires a bigger version of you. Your loved ones deserve that version. Your clients deserve that version. Your business deserves that version. And guess what? You deserve that opportunity to discover that version of yourself that you're capable of. So this week, don't ask yourself, how can I do more? Ask yourself, how can I access more of what's already inside of me? Find your next best step and take it. And then keep showing up. I'm Jessica Rojas, and this is a Real Talk on the Red Chair. If any of this information resonated with you, please like, comment, and share this with someone who you think would benefit from this content. I'll see you for the Success Summit Implementation Part 3.